Transgender is kind of an umbrella term that really describes a person who has an internal gender identity that is different than the one they were assigned at birth. So people get assigned a gender based primarily on their genital anatomy when they're born. So the first thing that you hear in a hospital is, it's a girl or it's a boy. You rarely hear, it's a baby, which is probably what we should be saying. And so some people, as they grow up, they recognize in different ways that they actually feel they have a different gender that they identify with internally that is not aligned with their body. It's important for people to understand that transgender is generally used as an identity. So people self-identify as having this discordance between their internal gender and their assigned birth gender. But in childhood, children sometimes behave as gender non-conforming. So we call children not necessarily transgender, but gender non-conforming, which means they're behaving or expressing their gender in a way that would be unexpected based on their genital anatomy. And that may be things like a boy-bodied person who wants to, say, paint their nails, or wear a skirt, or wear high heels, or have long hair, wear a wig, or in the flip reverse direction, a girl-bodied person who may say, I am a boy, or I wish I were a boy, or call me a boy's name. We have a little bit more latitude in the way that girl-bodied people express their gender. So people usually don't get upset when their girl-bodied child wants to wear pants, or wants to play sports, or wants to play video games, or things that we may associate with more typical male behavior. But if a boy-bodied person wants to wear girls' clothing or play with girls' toys, it generally tends to make us more alarmed as parents, as pediatricians, and as a society.
And the biggest advice I could ever give anyone that's transgender and struggling, you're becoming yourself.
In this YouTube video posted in November, a determined Taylor Alicena reached out to transgender youth, sharing her own loneliness of being transgender at Fallbrook High.
I've lost tons of friends. Tons. And it's been hell. I go to school every day, I get my lunch and I sit down alone.
In early March,
try not to overlay it.
Taylor posted the latest in her series of makeup tutorials. Then, last Thursday, family members confirmed the 16-year-old Taylor took her own life, but aren't revealing any details surrounding the suicide.
There are no words that can describe that.
Max Disposti has the North County LGBTQ Resource Center. He says Taylor, who took part in youth groups, was constantly cyberbullied and called names in school. Senior Patricia Martinez.
You could kind of see people stare at her and be kind of rude to her.
In Taylor's video, she talks about always wearing headphones.
And I'll just walk through the school because I know all the I'm gonna get.
Disposti says when Taylor complained to counselors, nothing changed.
She felt unsafe and she felt beat up every day that she needed to go to school.
On this wall at the center, letters and artwork in tribute to Sage, another local transgender teen who took his own life in early March. While bullying is not believed to be a factor in that suicide, Disposti hopes both deaths will lead to schools being more proactive in making sure transgender students are safe.
We can be better, for the others that are...
The bullying came to a head on Easter Sunday. 6 weeks later and days after this photo was taken, Kyler Prescott took his own life. For Catherine Prescott, watching these videos,
you see the soulfulness of his eyes.
And looking at photos.
This is Kyler with his dog Tiny.
Is equal parts comfort and unrelenting pain.
I feel like my soul has been ripped out of my body.
The son that made her whole first sank into depression 2 years ago.
He started cutting himself.
Born female, Kyler told his family he identified as a boy.
I embraced him from the moment he told me.
His family supported him, but as puberty began,
agony to him to undress and shower.
Kyler's family sought out support groups, counseling, and hormone blockers, and for the last year, Kyler stopped cutting himself. Kyler, the pianist, the artist, the animal lover, was enjoying life again. Then, on Easter Sunday, he cut himself after he was harassed on the social media site Kick.
He told me, Mommy, they told me I shouldn't be alive.
6 weeks later, after the death of several pets, Kyler locked himself in the bathroom and took his own life.
I don't need to know the specifics.
Prescott did not want to be told how her son died. Kyler is the third local trans teen to commit suicide since March.
It tells me how hard a road these kids are walking. And that's why they need to be so supported.
We're told Kyler was happy at how much support Bruce Jenner received in a world slowly changing, but
When you're a teenager, slowly changing is not enough. The world is still really a tough place for them.
Transgenders.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Welcome to the Hands Off Our Children radio show. I'm your host, Cogee. I just wanted to say today is a very great show that we're having today. Today is a show that I think that we need to have a little bit more often. We need to try to understand the differences of other people. When we're going through our own changes and when we're going through relationships, we can find in relationships all of us are not the same. When we meet new people, new friends, we all are different. And the thing about being different is some people feel like when you're a little different, you're not accepted at all. You shouldn't be accepted. But today we want to talk about transgender anti-bullying awareness. We definitely want to talk about that. The question I want to ask is, why is it that if somebody's different, that they held accountable or they're wrong for who they are or what they feel or what they stand for? I think with every parent, we always want our children to grow up, especially us as men. If we have boys, we want the next LeBron James or the next best running back or the next best me. I think as a father, if you ask, if it was to happen in my life, would I be hurt? Would I be upset? Yes, I would. Until I learned to deal with it. But I think what would hurt me more is if my child tells me, well, I've been this way for like 8 years or 10 years and I just didn't tell you. But the whole time you've been riding in the car with me, the whole time I've been taking you to basketball games, I've been taking you to football games, I've been talking to you constantly about what I see that I want you to be, my dreams for you. And you were just going along with it just to make me feel good. But you wasn't expressing to me who you are and what you feel and what you're going through. I just want to talk to all the pastors everywhere around the world. I think this is deeper than my show. I think this is deeper than a lot of people turning transgender people away. The reason why I'm doing this show is because I have transgender family members. You know what I'm saying? They might not have changed their bottom parts, but they were born a boy that turned into a girl that turned into a boy, or they playing both ends of the fence. But a lot of them kept secrets for a long time. Uncles, aunties, different people. And the thing about it is the reason why they kept the secret is that they thought that they wouldn't be accepted. They thought that they wouldn't be loved. They thought that nobody would embrace their pain of what they're going through or what they may have been through. One thing that I learned about the Hands Off Our Children show is basically, as a parent and as a father, is not to judge. And that if I love my children and I say I love them, I have to show that I love them first before I try to defend them to anybody out in the street. Because if I don't defend them first, then, and I'm letting somebody else do it, come up, letting somebody else disrespect them. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'm not saying nothing. That don't mean that I love my child unconditionally. When I love my child unconditionally, I'm not going to let nobody talk about my child, no matter what my child is going through. Because if it's a problem where my child is going through something, it's a problem where me and my whole family is going through something. I don't think no child should be left on an island by themselves to have to deal with that situation of dealing with gender identity. Gender identity is something that, a lot of children are going through for different reasons. I had two close people to me far as family, and one that's like, been in my family for a long time. One person called me and said, Cogee, why you doing that show, man? I mean, who cares about that, man? You don't nobody, why are you trying to fix that situation? Well, number one, like I told, some people before I started the show today, number one, if you don't like this show and you don't feel good about this show that I'm doing today, this show is just not for you. Don't listen to it, because number one, I have an obligation under who I believe in, what I am in my heart, far as a peacemaker, far as trying to bring love and trying to bring understanding to this world, where our children won't commit suicide, where our children can stop feeling like they got to cut on themselves to release pain or to be heard, to get attention. One thing that I want to do is make sure that we all can stand together in understanding. If we can stand together in understanding as parents, we can understand a lot of why our children are the way they are. Now, you heard me, I'm transparent. I kept it real. If my children came out to me and said, hey, I'm, transgender, I'm going through this, that, would it hurt me? Yes. It would hurt me a lot. But the thing about it is, I told you the reason why it would hurt me is because I had high expectations of what I wanted my child to be and what I saw my child being. But in reverse, now let's reverse it. Do I have that high regards in what they already are and what they want to be? That's where a lot of parents get hung up. It's what we want them to be and not what they were born to be or what happened to them in the midst of this situation to make them this way. That's why I'm doing this show today, everybody. I have transgender, young people in today that's going to tell the story of why they changed, how they changed, when they knew they were born this way, why they feel they was born this way, the ups, the downs, the rejection, the affection, the everything, the people that understand, the people that don't understand. This show today is about information, but most of all, this show is about love. Because number one, I look at it like this. How can I judge anybody when the man in the mirror, I need to work on myself? You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm not a gay man, but I can understand where they coming from anytime. You know what? Me being a black man and being judged on every little thing, whether it's good or bad. I can do the best things in the world, but the first time I do something bad, I'm judged right off the bat. Well, you got to look at it like it's with them. They can, you can find some gay people that they don't bother nobody. They don't say nothing. Then it could be what we talked about, me and Mr. Neal. It could be a flamboyant gay person that's just really all over the board and trying to be seen. And that's what make people have a problem with that situation. But if somebody's just low key and they live in their life, if you notice, really nobody has a problem with it. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of hidden family secrets where some parents already know in their heart that their child might be gay, but they try to ignore it and they just say, he'll snap out of it. He'll snap out of it. Okay. But in the midst of somebody snapping out of it or going through it, have you sat that child down and said, what happened? Where did I go wrong? Why don't you ask all the questions that your ego is going through at that moment? Because half of the time when we know our children are going through certain things, the first thing we do is, we have to have an ego check. Once we have that ego check, then we can hear things a lot better. First thing I would do is set my son, my daughter down, my nieces and nephews, and I'll say, how did you become this way? How did this happen? When did it happen? When did you know? How did you know? Did anybody touch you? Did anybody do anything to you that we didn't know about? Did you experiment with something that you couldn't handle, and now that you ain't doing it no more, you can't deal with it mentally? Do we need to get you mental help? Do we need to get you counseling? Do we need to do anything we can to help balance you out so we can deal with this situation more better? If you want to be a man 24/7 and you want to go back to that, well, we need to get you help to try to be that way. If you want to be a girl and you want to go back, we need to get you help that way. But if you feel you right where you need to be, we also need to learn to accept it and deal with it as parents. Anytime we throw away our children when they're going through something like this crisis, when our children complete suicide, when they do something like that and we're at the funeral, it's too late to say, oh man, if I only would have gave in. Oh, if I would have just listened. If I would have been so hard on this child. If I would have just said, hey, you know what? I love you regardless. Well, half of you parents out there right now, y'all still have time to say that while they're alive, while they well. Y'all still have time, time to give them a call and say, hey, I want to meet up with you for a minute. I want to hug you. I want to let you know I love you. I want to let you know, even though it's hard for me to understand, I'm going to work slowly every day to try to understand how we can get by this without me having an attitude, how I can deal with your situation because you truly feel this is you. There's no way out of it for you. This is who you are, and you feel this is who you are, and that's the way it is. But I'm calling on all pastors. I'm calling on all mentors. I'm calling on all big brothers, big sisters, leaders around the world. I need you all to care. I need you all to say, hey, you know what? This ain't about me. This is about saving a life. This is about bringing something to the forefront that can save a lot of children. This is about me understanding this child first and me dealing with it the way I'm going to deal with it once I've been dealt with the information that I'm given. There's nothing in this world that would make me double think doing this show, because like I said, even though I'm not a gay man, I have family members, I have friends that, feel this is who they are. And I accept that. It's none of my business. I love them regardless. Don't none of them do anything to try to hurt me. They don't try to come in my lane as a man. They don't try to disrespect me. They don't try to hit on me. They don't try to do none of that. I think the first thing that we need to understand is everybody that's gay don't want to get with you. Everybody that's gay ain't trying to have sex with you. Everybody that's gay ain't trying to, make you that way if they come and sit and talk to you out. They hang with you, if they're around you or in your circle for whatever degree, whether it's at work, job, or just hanging out, playing cards, whatever y'all doing. I mean, you got to let it go. Once you can let it go and say, this person is who they are, I respect them, I have no beef with them, I have no qualm with them. It is what it is. It's like one time, I was telling somebody this story on my way in today real quick, and then we're going to move fast. When I played football, I remember we was in the locker room, all the fellas, and there was this one guy on our team, and we was skeptical about him, but it was this one dude on my team that used to joke about it nonstop about this guy. So I remember one time we had played a game. It was freezing cold. We went and got in the shower. We had got out, and we were getting ready to get dressed, and this guy came on our side where we was changing at. You know what I'm saying? And I made a joke and said, you got to go on the backside. You go on the other side of the lockers. Don't be over here. When I said that to him and I saw the look that was on his face, that's a look I can't even get out of my head today. He was deflated. He was defeated. I violated somebody. I made him the butt end of a joke. You know what I'm saying? That didn't stop. And I remember when we got on the activity bus, I remember he didn't talk to nobody. He sat on the window and he put his head on the window and he threw his jacket over his head. And the whole time I was sitting there with my girlfriend, I was so quiet. Even she asked me what was wrong, because I knew I violated somebody. I knew a joke had went too far, but I never thought once after I said that when this young man gets off the bus, what if he went and killed himself? What if he went and done something bad to himself? What if in our victory, I defeated him? That wasn't right. And you know what I'm saying? To that person, you know who you are. You know what I'm saying? I don't call out no names. I deeply apologize from the bottom of my heart. And you know that saying, once when I was a child, I done childish things. Now that I'm a man, I do things of a man. And I can admit things. Now, I didn't even have people around me that didn't help me understand that, you know what I'm saying, that this situation that we dealing with right now is not a game. It's not a joke, and it's not a game. People are dying, young people, and even grown-ups. This young lady called me Saturday. And she said to me, Cogee, my uncle committed suicide because his son came in from school early and he had my mom's underclothes on and makeup and a wig on. And my cousin caught his dad that way. And her uncle committed suicide because he couldn't take it that the child saw him that way before he told it. But the thing about it was, when he wrote a letter, he said, I was never going to tell it. I just wanted to keep it a secret and just live in this world by myself without hurting anybody. Right. Well, that's why I'm doing this show today, everybody, is because I think this world, it's enough love for all of us. If you are who you are and you are what you are, and we say we Christians, we say we Buddhists, we say we everything under the sun when it comes to Christianity. Well, let's step up and be that. Let's have a forgiving heart. We don't have to have an understanding heart right off the bat, because it's wrong for me to tell any parent that you wrong because you don't understand. I would never say that, because you heard me say right out the gate, as a parent, I would be devastated, because it's like, I always had big dreams for you doing this or doing that. But you got to remember, when we have a child, when it's first born, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. And I think when we go through something with our children to that point to where we feel that we just died inside because of what we heard or what they done, we have to rewind our mind and go back to when we first put that child in our arms and how we love them unconditionally. So that's what this show's about, loving somebody unconditionally. This show's about all the pastors out there who may have, gay people in your church or gender people in your church, or people that you will say you don't understand because half of y'all don't want to give them a title, but even though you don't give them a title on what you think, you still treat them as if they're what you think. Right. Why don't you call a meeting with them? Why don't you call a one-on-one? Not with your other church people, a one-on-one, and say, is it anything I can do for you? How did you get this way? Or if you have a problem with them being in your church or in your camp or in your clique or in your club, whatever it is, let them know, can they tone it down? Or can you not do this? Or can you not do that because it's making me feel uncomfortable? It's making this person feel uncomfortable. But you got to give them a chance to even know what they're doing so they can be accepted. You got to give them a chance to say to themselves, do I really want to be here? If they don't want to be there, you know what I'm saying? Let them go somewhere where they will be appreciated instead of dogging them and pushing them out. Right. Making sure they know you don't like them. You don't want them around. You don't trust them around certain people, that you ain't with that. Okay. That's where you got to go in your closet and you got to do some praying. You got to do some soul searching, and you ask your higher power, how can I deal with this situation without destroying this situation? I notice a lot of people that do deal with these situations, they end up usually destroying them. Because number one, they don't think it out properly. Right. They just go into it full speed, full blast. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to make it, I'm going to find out what's going on. I'm getting to the bottom of this. Well, you know what? Maybe your child is trying to get to the bottom of it too. And they just ain't had a chance to get to the bottom of it because half of them are too young to even know what they're going through. Then we have TV, who gives us all these different analogies and all these different terms of what it's called. But then they might have a person that's over flamboyant who's really making parents mad because they don't like it. But your child is not that kind of person. We got to quit letting TV, Facebook, all these things dictate how we love somebody, how we care about somebody, until we have a one-on-one talk with them. I don't care. I tell you all the time, I have no beef with nobody. I can sit down and I can talk to anybody. We can sit down and we can talk about the problem. And at the end, I hope we can be friends. If we can't be friends, it is what it is. But I think everybody should give somebody that you have a problem with that open door policy to change things and work things out and make sure that we try to understand each other before we hate each other. I have two young people who's in with me today. They'll be coming in a minute. It's Sam and Aaron. They are going to tell us about being transgender. They're going to tell us about the ups. They're going to tell us about the downs. They're going to tell us about, the bullying. They're going to tell us about being shunned away. They're going to tell us about how they probably don't even care. They're going to just be who they are. They strong inside, and they don't need no extra something to make them be a certain way. Some people are just born like, hey, it is what it is. If you don't like me, hey, sorry for you, but I'm going to be who I am. Now, think about this. If I wasn't doing this show and our child was a full male or a full female, we would be thinking to ourselves, I love that determination in them. They're not going to let nobody tell them who they are, turn them around. Well, this is a flip side. This is a flip side of that whole speech I just said a minute ago. We still have to love our strong children to hold on, because so many of them are taking their lives nowadays. And even if they concealing it, but they staying alive and they dealing with it where it's not affecting you, it's not affecting your work, it's not affecting your ego. Now you have to step in and do your part to bring it to the forefront, because as it go on, you never know what can happen that can make it a bad situation. If you know your child is transgender, gay, whatever you want to call it, or whatever y'all might call it, care enough to find out why. Care enough to find out what they're going through internally dealing with this situation. Curious enough to find out, have they been touched as a little baby? Who touched you? Who done whatever they done to you? This show means a lot. This show is a love opening. This show is a run home and hug your child show. This show is a child run home and hug your parent show. Nephews, run home and hug your uncles. Uncles, run home and hug your nieces and nephews. That's what this show's about. No family is immune to this show today and the things y'all get ready to hear. We all can be victims of this situation if you look at it as a victim. You just got to look at it as, hey, it's life. This is just a card that was dealt. There's no control over it to a certain extent, unless you catch that child early and find out what happened and find out what they've been going through. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a break right now. And when I come in, y'all see I got my team. I got Mr. Marlon Neal, a.k.a. Bernie Mac. I got Sunshine in. I got my man Ian. I want to ask y'all real quick, coming around the board, E, what you think about today's show and what you think about my opening and what I said?
Well, I'm excited for today's show. I think you touched on a lot of things that, we usually touch on the show, but specifically with this one, I don't know much about the topic. So, but in a way I can relate to it because I have been cast as an outsider. So, and I think a lot of people have in a lot of different ways, but I think this one is a really big topic in today's world right now.
All right. Sunshine.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here today because, like Cogee said, this show is for us to inform you. If we don't know, we will find you help.
That's right.
We will take it to that next level. If someone can't help you, we can help you.
That's right.
And that's what we're about. We want you to inform us. We want you to call us. We want you to engage us. We want to find out what this is about. So we can help you. You can help me to understand you. I know that I had a brother that was gay, and it was hard for him to come out to my mother about it, but this is another level, and we need to be informed, and we just need to love people no matter what they are, no matter what their issues are, just love them and care about them enough to get them the help that they need. That's what I think today is going to be great.
All right, let me ask Mr. Neal something real quick, then I want you to come in and speak real quick, and then we got to move on. Mr. Neal, when we look at the Bible, people will go to the Bible, and they'll say, God said this, and the Bible said that, and the Bible said this. What's your take on that when it comes to love?
Well, I was actually looking up some things, because, we do have these Bible scholars out here, and I don't want to say anything out of text. But, I was in Leviticus 20, and it was speaking on the different things of men and going outside the normal relationship levels that was also spoken in the Bible. Yeah, well, you touched on some things when you're talking about the pastors and how the pastors need to address it. A lot of the pastors are not going to address it. I'm just going to let you know that. They're not going to address it.
But that was just my opinion. Now, one thing I am going to say is I'm not ranking any pastors because your home is your home. And how you run your home, hey, I respect that 100%. Right. But in the midst of being the leader of a home, in the list of being in the presence of people that respect you on the highest level, they need you too.
Right, but then you have to have a kindling heart to really understand that.
Right.
And you talking about a church that is ingrained in values and understandings. They have not come to the 21st century to even understand exactly how to deal with this situation, and especially the Catholic Church. A big church to talk about the big religion, and they're barely dealing with it. So when you talk about the smaller churches and the other breakdowns of denominations, that's very hard for them to actually handle this certain situation. When you start talking about, first you're talking about gay, then you went on to transgender. You're talking about a whole different understanding of how this dynamic works. And that means that someone has to sit down and learn this. Now, to have someone to actually take the time to sit there and learn something is hard because that's out of their religious mindset or framework. Me personally teaching, it doesn't bother me. It is whatever you are in life. God bless you because you've been given life.
That's how I feel.
And I feel, I'm glad and thankful to be here on this panel with everybody else because every day is a blessing. But to be able to stand up and, like you said, an outcast. I don't know what that is because I've always been popular. I don't know how I've always been popular, but I have. I woke up and said, "Hey, world," and I was just popular. But to have that other side, flip side of how you deal with things, the way I deal with my students is everybody in my classroom is one. No one talks about anybody unless I'm talking about them. because I'm the head honcho in the classroom. So I'm gonna talk about you, and we all gonna laugh about it because it's one big happy family.
Right.
So but you have to have a strong teacher or a strong instructor inside that classroom to make sure you have that class under control.
Right.
Because everybody does not embrace, like you said, you was a jock. Everybody does not embrace the different dynamics of what's in that classroom, or how to break down the understanding for dealing with different people. It's kind of hard.
Right.
I mean, and I understand what you said in the beginning about, your children being what they was birthed to be. But
what I thought they were birthed to be.
Well, what they came out looking at is what we're talking about.
Right.
Now, you have to understand that paying attention to your child understands that the dynamics of how they walk, how they talk, how they speak. Now, unless they some good Houdinis, or you just have blinders on like a horse, you should be able to pick up certain dynamics that does not seem correct.
But that's why I said a lot of parents who overlook it and say, I'm just going to dodge it, they'll grow out of it.
Well, you know what, and I hate to kind of like divert for a minute, but in those single family homes where the mother is raising a child, especially a man child, they think it's cute with the boys to put on the get all dressed up and stuff like that and walk around with it. That's cute. I don't feel that that's cute because at a certain point, you start to set precedents for in which direction they can go into. You don't differentiate of who they are. When kids are real young, you put them all in the bathtub, they take a bath, they take a shower together. But as they get older, they start recognizing, hey, I'm a little different from Jane.
Right.
Or I'm a little different from Johnny. Right. And then Johnny starts saying, I'm a little different from Aaron. Right. That's one of our names. Sorry about that. We just say another Aaron. But we just like to have things the way they are. And when we look at different things and different dynamics, we have to not judge the person for who they are, but to understand exactly where they are. Because even in our lifestyles ourselves, we're not always 100% put together.
No,
we have our own individual hidden issues, and then we have what's called generational curses.
Right.
Everybody has stored away in the closet somewhere, and we still don't know who Uncle Bobo is.
Right.
I mean, do you know who Uncle Bobo is?
I know what you're saying.
Because, sometimes Uncle Bobo is the one that's been thrown in the closet. Ain't nobody ever spoke about that person. Right. And it's the hidden person.
Well, it's the hidden family secrets. That's what I said earlier in the show. You were definitely right about that.
You never know. You never want to let that happen.
But what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get the show underway. We're going to take a quick break, everybody. And when we come back, we're going to have Sam. We're going to have Aaron. We got my man Flynn in, who's our support system, who's helping Jay out behind the scenes today. Hey, we got love for these, young people that's in today. I just want them to know that the Hands Off Our Children show, we're here to help them. We're here to do anything we can do to make sure that they're okay, that all the children around the world who's watching this, I want y'all to go to handsoffourchildren.org. Give us a like. Follow us. Tell all your friends about us. Pass the show. Pass, all our information to people. Let's definitely do our work and do our part in bringing change and making sure that everybody's child gets home safe, everybody's child has a fair chance in life to live, and that we all can be the parents that we truly want to be. We'll be right back.
Help! I hate you. I wish you were never born. Open your stupid mouth and drink the milk. You're gonna be nothing, just like your daddy. Why didn't you tell me you had to pee? You're so stupid. What are you looking at? You're as dumb as your sister. Dumb as your sister. Get back up at the table, now! Look what you made me to do to my kids. Help!
Hey, we back, everybody. Welcome back to the Hands Off Our Children show. I'm your host, Cogee. I want to thank our guests that's in today. We got Sam and we got Aaron. They're here to definitely break it down to us. Topic of the show today, if anybody just joined in, Transgender Anti-Bullying Awareness Show. We definitely want to break down what transgender means. We want to talk about the bullying and what we can do to slow it up. We want to talk about the different terminologies, you know, with gay and using queer and using all these different names, you know. Now, what we done on the break, I had asked them when we went to the break, I said, Sam and Aaron, did I say anything in the opening that may have offended you all? Because if I did, I apologize. Because I got to come street with it the way I got to open the show so people can relate to it and so people can understand that, you know, with this whole situation, those terminologies are hurtful. Those terminologies are bad. Now, it ain't that I was saying it. I just was making a point on the way it's said. Now, whenever I do a show, I always ask a question, and I ask my team and I ask my guests to teach. So everybody out there, I hope y'all got pens and paper. Y'all know how I do this show. I just want y'all to know this show is about love. This show ain't about finding a reason to hate somebody even more. If you feel this is what this show is doing to you, this is not the show for you. You probably should cut it off, go to another show, because on this show, we want solutions. On this show, we trying to find a bridge to love and understanding. And the best way for me to do that is to have the people in that y'all fear the most. For whatever reason, y'all fear the way they are, which it's not hurting anybody. You know what I'm saying? It's something that they have to deal with. And as parents, it's something that we have to deal with. But if we have to deal with it, we want to deal with it with understanding. So to every parent around the world, I definitely want to say this show is for you. For every foster parent, this show is for you. To every step parent who's coming in a full home and it's a child that's going through a transgender, this show is for you. Now, one thing I want to say to everybody around the world, if we can do this for a second, right now I feel it's very important for me to do this before we move on. Can we take a moment of silence for all the children that have lost their lives because of this situation, for all the parents that have lost their lives, for some of the people who done lost their minds dealing with this, to some of the people who then hurt themselves so bad with alcohol, drugs, and everything just to deal with this situation. Can we take a moment of silence for them as well? So we're going to take a moment of silence, and then we come in. We got Sam and we got Aaron. All right, so we back, everybody. So I definitely want to say, like I said, to all the parents around the world, all the families who have lost loved ones to this situation, you know, our hearts go out to you. I do this show for you, and my guests, they come in to do this show for you as well. So today I want to say thank you for being with us, Aaron. Aaron, over this way. Aaron, I want to thank you for being with us today. It means a lot for you to be here, to definitely back me up on this situation, to bring understanding and to try to bring new life. And it ain't that we trying to trick nobody into accepting this or trick nobody into being a part of this. No, this is a way of life nowadays. And this is just the way life is going. You either got to deal with it or you get away from it. But to get away from it means that a child is being thrown away and children are being rejected. Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
I mean, what do you feel about what do you feel about the way I open the show? Then I'll come to Sam in a second. You know, did I say anything opening the show that offended you? Which, you know, if I did offend you, I never meant to offend you, but I had to break it down and make it relatable to our audience.
Just one thing that kind of stuck out is that you said full male or female, but really there is no full one or the other, because you just are what you are. There is no I am no less of a man than you are. I am as much of a man as you are.
There's no checklist that you have to meet in order to be considered male or female.
Yeah.
Everybody, this is Sam. How you doing, Sam?
They double teaming you over here, man.
They double teaming me. They double teaming me. So you know what? Let me go to Sam real quick. Sam, thank you for being on the show today.
Of course,
I do appreciate you. Now I'm gonna ask you again, Sam. When I brought my intro in, did I say anything that where I was a little off key on what I said, but it wasn't personal to you? But let me say this real quick. I got to go back to Aaron real quick. When I said a full male and full female, I said that's what every parent feels they have when they have a child. That's all I was saying on that situation. That's every parent. You know what I'm saying? So, what nothing towards you. All right. All right. So Sam, break it down to me. What do you feel that I might have said? I want you to teach all of us today.
No, I really, really loved your opening. I love that you were coming from a place of love and as a parent and just coming from a place of just entirely love, and having love for kids regardless of who they are.
Right.
Like one thing I really want to make sure that people understand is gay and trans are two entirely different things. Being gay or being bisexual or being asexual or being any of those things is your sexual orientation. It's who you're attracted to. When you're trans, it's your gender. It's the personal who you are and who you identify as. Okay. So trans people can be straight, trans people can be gay, trans people can be bisexual, trans people can be any other sexual orientation. They're not linked together.
Okay. What about the terminology gender queer? Break that down for us.
All right. So, you know, we live in it's a binary system where the two options are male and female, right? There are genders, however, that exist outside of that binary or somewhere in between, just not necessarily on the points of male and female. And that's non-binary or genderqueer. Those are often interchangeable. So essentially, you know, Aaron is a trans man. So he identifies as a binary male, but I am non-binary. I don't identify as male or female. For me, that means that I sit at a neutral point where I experience gender, but it's not male or female. For some people, it means that sometimes they feel like they're female and sometimes they feel like they're male. Sometimes they feel like they're male and sometimes they feel like they don't have a gender. It's any of the genders that can fall into something outside of male and female, outside of that binary.
So when you say that you are right in the middle on both sides, are you saying like today you have on a mini skirt and I can see you tomorrow and you'll have on a jogging outfit and look like a full male?
Heck yeah.
Okay, right. Break it down to us a little bit more to some of the parents that might not understand that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because they could have a child that's doing the same thing right now and it's driving them crazy. They don't understand. So that's why I said, can we teach as we go along?
Yeah. Another kind of important thing to note is gender and presentation aren't necessarily the same. And that can be for various reasons. Sometimes people can't present as they want to for safety reasons. Okay. They can't present for money and the resources that they have available to them. There's many, many different reasons. And so for me, you know, I never identify as male or female, but sometimes I do want to look a little bit more masculine. And I'll put on I'll put on the jogging outfit, or I'll have like a nice button down and a bow tie, and I want to look good.
I hear you.
You know, today it's just hot, so I'm in a mini skirt and sandals and.
Right.
But it's not that this is that I'm a girl today, or that I'm
just doing you.
I'm just doing me. Yeah.
Right. I hear you. Let me. Okay, hold on. Let me go to Mr. Neal, aka Bernie Mac, real quick. What would you like?
You know what? I'm a little lost.
Okay.
And Sam, it's you just gonna have to break it down.
Right. That's why. Yeah, right. That's why they're here to break it down a little bit more. You asked
now the trans. Okay, the binary thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so may I ask, what were you born as?
That is that's a really personal, intimate question. You don't ask trans people that.
Well, how do you get to the point where you know that you're trans, so you can say, you know, I'm a trans person, and not to ask me that question? Because I wouldn't. I mean, because I don't know. That's
right.
What I'm
because
saying.
some people, and that's true. Some of us really don't know. That's why we're here today to ask. And I feel like if anybody out there didn't ask that question and then stepped on anybody's toes, as y'all see a minute ago, and here's a good example. We didn't know.
I mean, looking at you,
right.
I would say girl.
Okay.
And then, you know, I'm looking at Sam.
Aaron.
Oh, I'm getting these names mixed up here.
Right.
I'm looking at Aaron and saying boy, but then you said it was a transgender binary thing. So what does that mean? I'm a little lost.
Do you want me to answer?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, I don't mind saying that I was assigned female at birth, but I identify as male. I am a man. But really, you don't want to ask trans people, like, hey, what's in your pants? Because that's a very personal thing. Like, you don't go up to random people and ask those personal questions, like, below the belt. It's just not something that you do. It's very, very personal. And most people don't feel like they should be sharing that because it's
personal.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, now
if you do find out, like, you know, that Aaron and I are both trans, it's kind of like that's all you need to know until the person then feels comfortable telling you more. And so, like, in this instance, I'm going to tell you all of it. Like, I don't care. You know, that's what I came here for. Right. But just, like, you're meeting a trans person on the street, you wouldn't ask, so what were you born as? That's just a very deeply intimate personal question. All that matters now is who they are and how they need to be respected and referred to now. Does that make sense?
Okay, hold on. I got a good question for you, Sam. Say, for instance, we cool. We here right now. Somebody came in. I'm saying, hey, this is my homeboy right here. This is my homeboy or whoever. You get what I'm trying to say. Just an example. And I turn to you and you say, I'm not a boy. I'm not a girl. And this is Sam. You get what I'm saying? But you know how people go, this is my homeboy. This is my homegirl. What would a person say in that situation that would make you feel comfortable? Right. That's the question I want to ask.
Okay. So I'm going to answer like general and then from me personally. So you got that, all right?
Okay.
In general, with non-binary people, it can range anywhere from someone feeling a little more feminine to a little more masculine to absolutely nothing ever, any of the time. So it really is case by case. And non-binary people are almost always cool with you going, hey, how can I refer to you? Are you cool if I call you this? Do you know what I'm saying? It's literally just ask. That goes such a long way, and that is so respectful. It is so great.
Right, I understand that. But if I'm on a road, this is my homeboy, this is my homegirl, this is my homeboy, and then I look at you and go, well, what should I say about you? That, to me, that's like disrespecting you in front of them, to me, because I care about you. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Instead of me just saying, oh, this is my homegirl right here, oh, this is my homeboy. The reason why I'm asking, because these are the things that go on in school.
Right.
These are school things that go on. You know what I'm saying?
So that's the thing as far as like just asking case by case. So like, and you didn't know this. I'm not mad at you or nothing.
Right.
You know, when I came in and you found that I was non-binary, you'd be like, hey, so are you cool if I call you homegirl or homeboy? Are you cool with feminine words, masculine words? And I'd be like, well, actually, I identify as a little bit more masculine. So go ahead, call me your homeboy. That's all good.
Okay. Now, see, I chose to just say Sam.
Just say Sam is fine also.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So, but if it's kids that are in school and this is my homeboy, this is my homegirl, and, this Sam. You get what I'm trying to say? That it just threw everything off. And I'm doing it this way because I have respect for you, and I don't want this person to disrespect you, because I feel like anytime I introduce anybody that's cool with me, I want that same person to have the same level of respect for this person that I have for you. So it's almost like I'm safeguarding you, even though I know your identity. And you might say, well, you don't have to safeguard me, I don't care. But some people are just evil and mean, and they'll take it there. And I want them to know that if they do, it's very personal to me, because I don't feel that way about you.
And so, like, honestly, even though it sounds a little clunky maybe to you to be on your roll and then just say, and Sam, that is such a respectful thing. To not put any kind of thing on someone until you know more. And not giving a stranger that you don't know yet that kind of power with that person. Does that make sense? Not giving a stranger that I am this or I am that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, I understand. So everybody check us out. Now we down to just seconds in our first hour. We already had the first hour. But this second hour, as y'all can tell, is going to be very powerful, when we come in with it. I mean, we got Sam and we got Aaron, and I think they're doing a great job. I'm glad they're here. And remember, this show ain't about stepping on toes. This show's about love and understanding. We'll be right back.